What's up guys, my name's Dychronic here on this Destiny 2 video, and today we're going to be talking about getting a 100,000 score on this week's Nightfall. Now in this video I'm going to be talking about the different setups for the subclasses, your weapons, your armor, your exotic choices, talking about which parts of the missions are the most difficult, of course, which Nightfall to choose and why, and of course the modifiers, and again, why you use certain modifiers. And if you're wondering whether or not you're high enough power to be able to do a 100,000 score, I would honestly just give it a try. If you're at least a 520, you could probably get a 100,000 score if you're pretty good at the game and you have a good team. But in general, I would recommend you wait until you're around 530 to 540 to be able to attempt Nightfall's 100,000 score. And of course, I have in the past done it at 530, even with a handicap of 10, putting me down at 520. So first off, let's talk about which Nightfall you choose. I honestly would recommend you pick the Corrupted because it's a long strike with a lot of little enemies, whereas Inverted Spire as well as Strange Terrain are a bit of a shorter one, and Strange Terrain just has a really annoying boss fight. When we first tried it out, we did Inverted Spire with a 40 handicap with the best modifiers you could possibly have, and we got 120,000 score. That's not a lot of score, and we finished the mission in 12 minutes. It's way too short. Whereas the Corrupted took us like over 20 minutes, got 177,000 score with a 20 handicap. As for the modifiers for this mission, we went with Solar Singe, Match Game, Extinguish, and Famine. Alternately, you can go with things like Momentum or Grounded. For some reason, one of my crazy clanmates thinks Grounded is a good modifier. I'm talking about you, blog. That's right. You're crazy. Grounded sucks. Don't jump my ass. The reason you pick these modifiers is because with Extinguish, if you all die out, you lose too many points anyway, so you might as well put it on. Famine, because honestly, it kind of just feels like Juggler, where if using your primary a lot, you get a lot of heavy and special, so it kind of gives you more ammo instead of less ammo. And then finally, Match Game, because it is the most powerful modifier, and it is really not that hard if you have your loadouts made to combat it, which I'll be talking about how you should load your loadouts in a little bit. So let's talk about subclasses. One thing I would say is a really useful thing for any Nightfall is to have one tether. Summoning a ton of orbs for your teammates, to have more supers, to have more orb points that you get from gathering orbs is very, very beneficial. So having one hunter with tether with Orpheus rigs is very important no matter what Nightfall you're doing. Outside of that, the rest of the people should just be going with their best solar class. So for example, Titans go with the top class hammers, for the Warlocks go with the Dawnblade Attunement of Fire, and then finally the Hunter go with Blade Barrage just because it does so much damage. As far as your weapons go, honestly you should go with whatever weapons give you your highest possible power, because I'm assuming that you're listening to this video because you're having trouble with the Nightfall and you're not overpowered. So honestly, use whatever is the best possible power. Outside of this, you should use a heavy, which is very, very good. For example, Sleeper Simulants, Whispers of the Worm, 1,000 Voices. A good, powerful solar heavy is very important to do the maximum possible damage. As far as your secondaries go, you should use your secondaries to combat match games. So there should be 2 Void and 1 Arc secondary across your team. The reason this is because there's a lot of Void guys throughout the strike, and there is a couple of different Arc guys along the way as well. And then the Fire ones are honestly could be dealt with your subclass or your heavy. And outside of that, just use whatever you're most comfortable with. As long as it has a high power to give you the most possible advantage possible, just use whatever you're most comfortable with. So exotic armors, use Synthoceps if you have that at a higher power. Use hand cannons if you like hand cannons in the primary slot, or pulse rifle. Whatever you're most comfortable with. I personally was using the raid pulse rifle. As far as the actual mission goes, the hardest parts are going to be the elevator when you first encounter the relics, the part with the double dimension ogre, and then finally the boss fight. Because of the fact there are so many enemies at the same time, there are so many scions and acolytes all over these parts. Your best strat in this area, use tethers and supers as much as you can. As soon as you see a giant group of enemy, use a tether. Summon a buttload of orbs for your teammates, get your entire tether back because of Orpheus rigs, and of course all your teammates all have their supers and they can clean up whatever's left. To be completely honest, when it comes to Nightfalls, never be afraid to use your super on a bunch of enemies, because if you use your super, you get a bunch of orbs spawned for your teammates, they get their supers, and then they can use their supers to help you get your super back. And when it comes to Nightfalls and being very underleveled, supers are the key. to winning over large engagement. A couple more notes about the boss fight. She will spawn a buttload of scions. You need to handle those with tethers, with your weapons, with your specials, however you want to do with them. Just super as much as you can. You do not need the super for the boss at all. And as soon as you clean up a lot of the enemies, use the relic to break her invincibility shield and just dump on her with your heavies. If you've got things like sleepers and whispers and 1,000 voices, she should go down very quickly, go to the next dimension, and then you can just move on. As soon as she moves on, just move on with her. Don't worry about the enemies around. Because honestly, by the point you reach her, you're probably going to be around 18 minutes anyways. And that's it. That's pretty much the strategy for you guys today. Again, I'll be leaving the rest of the video in the background so you guys can watch it if you wanted to see a certain part and how I did the certain part. In the future, I might describe a little bit more about what we did and why we did certain parts, but I gotta be honest right now, I'm a bit under the weather and I haven't done this too many times to give you a good description of exactly how you need to do each part. But that's it. That's the video. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Thank you for making it all the way to the end. Hashtag made it to the fluffers in the comments down below, and I'll make sure to heart those comments. And of course, you can see the fluffers that are on screen now. Anyways, been your host, Dychronic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.